Hello guys, welcome back to our anime moment. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of Swallowed Star 2 episode number 105 based on novel. So let's start. Huyang City, inside the City Lord's mansion. Luo Feng was drinking alone in the pavilion. Suddenly, he frowned, obviously in trouble. Qingyang, this silly boy, finally figured out another secret method of the Chaos Realm, and his accumulation is considered to be a bit richer. Marosa was walking in the City Lord's palace, in a good mood. In any case, Moyu Qingyang is closer to the Chaos Realm. Although the second disciple of the Daohe sect, Xin Yu, is much more talented, no matter how good the other disciples are, they are still not as good as his own. Marosa looked up and saw Luo Feng on the pavilion in the distance. Strange. Marosa was a little confused. There is something wrong with the master. Whoosh! Marosa quickly arrived at the pavilion and cautiously said in the corridor under the steps. Master. Luo Feng glanced at Marosa. Is something wrong? Master, is something bothering you? Marosa asked carefully. I wonder if I can help. Marosa thought that now he has reached the second level of the God King and surpasses his master in all aspects. He, Marosa, might be able to solve Luo Feng's troubles. You can't help. Luo Feng shook his head. Master, why don't you tell me? Marosa asked. Luo Feng smiled. I encountered a great horror, and fear grew uncontrollably in my heart. This greatly affected my practice. Is there any way you can prevent me from being afraid? Using the Great Destruction Mind Refining Technique with all your strength can indeed crush all distracting thoughts and make the mind pure and ethereal. However, this would also distract too much mental energy, which would slow down Luo Feng's thinking speed and greatly reduce the efficiency of his enlightenment practice. It's less than half as efficient as its intact state. How is Luo Feng in a good mood after being saddened with a negative influence for a long time? He was thinking about how to solve this problem. Encountering a great terror? Breeding fear? Marosa wondered, what can scare the master in this continent of origin? Luo Feng smiled. Will the master die completely? Or even affect the ethnic group? Marosa asked. He suspected that the master had encountered a terrifying and powerful enemy. There will be no danger of death. Luo Feng said, it will only affect my practice. It's not like you're going to die, so what's there to be afraid of? Marosa asked. Luo Feng shook his head. If you can't control your heart, fear will naturally arise. Control your heart, that's all. Marosa looked at Luo Feng in confusion. Control it? Luo Feng was slightly startled. As a God King, he has the will of the ultimate God King. But facing that huge eye in the memory, the instinctive fear of life. Yes, it's just memory pollution. It's less threatening than will pollution. What's there to be afraid of? The instinctive fear of life? Then I will control the instinct. All fear comes from the heart. If you control your heart, you can also control your instincts. Luo Feng disappeared without a trace, leaving only Marosa on the pavilion, slightly confused. What terrible thing happened to the master? Marosa wondered. He was confused. The first floor of the Star Tower. Luo Feng sat cross-legged and stopped the Great Destruction Mind Refining method. The huge eye in the memory seemed to be looking at him through endless time and space, looking down at him. Fear comes to mind again. My heart is trembling. Fear, surrender, fear. Hold on. It's just a memory in a dream, and it can't threaten me. Why should I be afraid? Don't be afraid, face it. Face it head on. Luo Feng convinced himself again and again. But knowing is one thing. Life instinct is something else. Fear continued to grow and spread, and the terror brought by this huge eye went deeper and deeper into Luo Feng's heart. Face it. It's just a memory. Luo Feng forced himself to face it. Time passed, fear continued to penetrate, and the influence became deeper and deeper. In the end, Luo Feng could only use the Great Destruction Mind Refining Technique to eliminate all distracting thoughts and restore the purity and emptiness of the mind. After it was wiped out, Luo Feng stopped using the mind-refining technique and continued to face it head-on. Control your heart, control your instincts. Luo Feng always took the initiative to face it. From the beginning, you must perform a great destruction mind-refining method in 3 to 5 days to eliminate all distracting thoughts. Slowly, it lasts for dozens of days and even thousands of days. As he observed it longer, Luo Feng gradually got used to the terror brought by these huge eyes, and his control over his mind became stronger. It lasted for more than half a century. The fear of facing it is already relatively weak. Even without the help of the Great Destruction mind training technique, Luo Feng could face this huge eye for a long time. The same is true for those god kings who cultivate the Hunyuan bloodline. They compete with the will of the bloodline and suppress the will of the bloodline again and again. This is also a kind of training. God King Yunqian achieved the ultimate will of the God King under such training. In the past half-century, Luo Feng's mind has also undergone a transformation. Is this huge eye the real eye of a terrifying existence? Or is it just an illusion in a dream? Luo Feng was also curious. It is the most terrifying existence I have ever seen, even though I only saw it in a dream. You can try to create a terrifying secret technique. Luo Feng had the inspiration to create a secret technique in his heart. In the past years, all the 9 branches of the way of birth and death have been understood. Using the 9 branches of the path of life and death, you can try to create this move. Luo Feng still faced the huge eyes, ignoring the slight fear he felt, and tried to create a secret method. The 9 branches of the path of birth and death are the 6 branches that were initially enlightened. The dripping blood branch, the red sun branch, the annihilation branch, the eternal branch, the black smoke branch, the traveler branch, and the subsequent enlightenment. There is one channel of heavenly light, one channel of nothingness, and one channel of reincarnation. The 9 branches contain the core essence of the path of birth and death. Each branch absorbs part of the secrets of the 6 branches of life and the 6 branches of destruction, and each branch is extremely powerful. That huge eye should have the eternal branch, the blood branch, and the reincarnation branch as its core. After all, Luo Feng had been facing it for so long, and he already had the direction of the secret method in his mind. Then supplemented by the red sun branch, the black smoke branch, and the void branch. The fusion of the 6 major branches. The perfect fusion of moves should have some charm like those eyes. Luo Feng began to think about it. The artistic conception of this move was too high, and it was more difficult to create than Luo Feng expected. Once he encounters confusion, Luo Feng will face that huge eye, watch it carefully, and study why it brings such terror. Looking for inspiration and constantly improving this trick. Completely focused on creating the secret method, Luo Feng had no intention of doing anything else. Samsara Xiaolu invited him to take action, but Luo Feng refused for the time being, saying that he was in retreat recently and had no intention of exploring the treasure land. This huge eye can no longer make me afraid. After Luo Feng studied this huge eye for more than 10 centuries and tried to create a secret method, he still didn't feel any fear no matter how he faced it head-on. Without the feeling of fear, the help of these huge eyes to practice has become weaker. 7 emotions refining the heart increase my perception. Luo Feng began to use the 7 emotions refining the heart. In this state, all kinds of emotions such as joy, anger, worry, fear, and fear will be much stronger. A few emotions will stir up the emotions in the soul. Huge waves. Boom. As soon as he activated the 7 emotions heart-refining technique, that huge eye once again aroused Luo Feng's fear, and the fear was extremely powerful. It was like facing it for the first time, and his heart was trembling with fear. Very good, this is how it feels. Luo Feng was overjoyed and went to perfect this secret technique again. The secret method is gradually improving. A century has passed. Finally, after the 34th century when Luo Feng faced this huge eye. It's done. In the Star Tower, Luo Feng was extremely excited. After years of research, he finally succeeded in creating a secret method. This sense of accomplishment made Luo Feng very satisfied. I finally created this secret method. It's not easy. It's much more difficult than the immortal light in the hole. Luo Feng was extremely excited. This memory in a dream is not a disaster, but a blessing. Even if Luo Feng maintained the 7 emotions mind refining technique at this moment, that huge eye could no longer make Luo Feng feel fear. Because Luo Feng studied it too deeply. If you know too much and lose the mystery, the sense of terror will naturally disappear. After all, it is just an image in a dream memory. What I studied was just an image from a dream. If he really existed, I don't know how terrible it would be. Luo Feng thought. After all, the secret method created this time is strictly the secret method of the second level of the Great Way of Life and Death. Luo Feng smiled brightly, and under the 7 emotions heart-refining technique, his excitement became more intense. The 100 holes immortal light that was successfully deduced last time is actually the fusion of 2 major branches of life and 3 major branches of destruction, a total of 5 major branches. This time, the 6 major branches of the 9 major branches of the avenue of life and death are completely integrated, and it is a veritable secret method of the second level of the avenue of life and death. Although it has not been tested yet, Luo Feng can judge that the power of the secret method this time is far greater than the immortal light of the mixed whole. It took more than 200 centuries to become a god king. I finally created this move with the help of the images of dream memories. Luo Feng knew very well that it would be difficult to create such a move in a short time with his own accumulation. This time he was completely influenced by the influence of the dream memory has a clear direction, and it took more than 30 years to create such a trick. Each branch of this secret method is extremely powerful. If the 6 major branches are integrated, can it be as powerful as the ultimate realm secret method? Luo Feng was a little curious. The Guishu Emperor and the Wuxin God King all have the secret method of the ultimate realm. Although each of its branches is strong, it can only be said that the Emperor of the Ruins and the Divine King of the Witch Heart combine all their branches into one and form a perfect whole. Only then can they be called the ultimate secret method. Try it. This secret technique can be performed with the body or different weapons. The sword technique is the terrifying knife technique, the giant axe is the axe technique, and the hammer is the destroying hammer technique. Luo Feng stretched out his hand. The outstretched right hand turned dark for an instant, as if it were the core of the entire world. Heaven and earth will be destroyed, but this palm will not cause any damage. With endless terror, Luo Feng's big palm and 5 fingers were smacked out. Rumble. The 5 fingers shone brightly in an instant, forcibly destroying everything. The invisible membrane walls of the source world were shattered and torn apart, and a ravine that was several feet long appeared. Outside the membrane wall of the source world, there is billowing black air flowing in along the ravine. This move is the mass extinction style. Luo Feng was quite satisfied when he saw this scene. This segment of dream memory can no longer evoke even the slightest sense of fear. Luo Feng carefully observed the enormous eye in the memory. At this moment, he felt regretting that this was a dream memory and not clear enough. The God King has spent over 200 epochs almost entirely in the dream domain undergoing the destruction heart refinement. After fully immersing himself in creating the Great Extinction style, a hint of fatigue arose in Luo Feng's heart. While maintaining the 7 emotions heart refinement technique, Luo Feng's inner emotions fluctuated violently, and even the slightest hint of fatigue would spread to his mind. It's time to relax your body and mind. I have chosen the Great Destruction method and the 7 emotions method to train my mind. Now it's time to relax using the 7 emotions method. Luo Feng immediately thought about it and take action. A clone of Luo Feng in black also left Huyang City, and he first walked towards the direction of Shi Kingdom. I have always wanted to completely kill the 3 kings of the Food Kingdom and avenge my master. But I don't know much about the Food Kingdom. Luo Feng, dressed in black, walked leisurely. He knew many places on the mainland based on intelligence. But this time, Luo Feng decided to see it with his own eyes. During the entire process of touring the mainland, Luo Feng would maintain the 7 emotions mind refining technique. Luo Feng visited every city and listened to those who were good at music and illusion. Delicacies, dances, musical pieces. Under the 7 emotions heart-refining method, Luo Feng enjoyed 100 times 1,000 times more pleasure. Okay. Well done. After eating the delicious food, Luo Feng did not hesitate to reward him. He tossed hundreds of cosmic sands with a flick, which made the store owner excited. Becoming an eternal god with your cooking skills? Impossible. It's so unpalatable. Unpalatable, not pleasant to taste. After eating something unpalatable, Luo Feng's pain was also 100 times or even 1,000 times greater, and he couldn't help but get angry and grab the chef. It turns out that he spent a lot of money to hire a chef to cook, but the chef asked his apprentice to do it, and the apprentice did it casually. In the end, Luo Feng smashed the store and left. I'm here to listen to music, and you're yelling beside me. Luo Feng kicked an eternal true god out of the city, and all the guests fell silent. The musicians also trembled and played more seriously. Luo Feng was very relaxed while touring around. Under the 7 emotions mind-refining method, his behavior was far more unbridled than usual. He laughed, scolded, and did whatever he wanted. On this day, Luo Feng came to Feng Shui Tower because of its reputation. I heard that the music fantasy of this Feng Shui Tower master can be ranked in the top 10 in the entire food country. Luo Feng sat there leisurely, taking out his treasured wine, listening to music in a place where he didn't expect to have any good wine. These fine wines were all found by Luo Feng in various gourmet food spots. They are not expensive, but each has its own unique characteristics. Luo Feng took a sip happily. The wine entered his throat and he was already tipsy. There is music playing. Feng Shui Lu Zhu has already started to perform. She has snow-white wings, snow-white fluff on her face, and gentle eyes. At this moment, she is holding a flute-like instrument in her hands and playing. The music was gentle, as if penetrating the soul. All the practitioners present enjoyed and endured it. With Luo Feng's spiritual will, even if he used the 7 emotions heart-refining method, it would be difficult for him to fall into the illusion completely again. However, the music that resonated with his soul, even if he didn't enter the illusion, it was still a kind of enjoyment. Wow, wow, wow. Among all the musicians I've ever heard, she's in the top 3. Luo Feng admired. The entire performance by Feng Shui Lu Zhu was one song after another, a total of 12 songs, and the later it was, the more penetrating the soul. Luo Feng was completely immersed in what he heard. He seemed to be back in his youth, when he was studying, practicing martial arts in the martial arts hall, and tasting his parents' meals. Many beautiful and warm memories came to his mind. Wait until the music stops. Luo Feng just woke up, tears in his eyes. I actually entered in a fantasy world without knowing it. Luo Feng was very surprised. He looked at the Snow Wind Tower master with snow-white wings and said, among all the musicians I have ever seen, she ranks first. 12 pieces, each of which is a piece of music at the level of the primal chaos realm, and they are perfectly integrated into one. This Feng Shui Tower master should be not far from reaching the primal chaos realm. Most importantly, she has a strong mind and will. Luo Feng naturally confirmed this after he woke up. Only when a very strong spiritual will is integrated into this piece of music can it have such a strong appeal. Even if her mind and will haven't reached the peak of the chaos realm, she should be pretty close. Luo Feng developed a love for talent. After all, he was a genius in music who was about to reach the chaotic state, and he was also a genius with a strong mind and will. Luo Feng also admired him very much. Feeling a desire to admire talent, Luo Feng also began to carefully observe the owner of Feng Shui Tower. Seeing this, Luo Feng's expression changed slightly. After the performance, the owner of Feng Shui Tower turned around and left without saying a word. The guests were suddenly awakened from their dreams, and were startled in one of the corridors of Feng Shui Tower. The owner of Feng Shui Tower was walking in the corridor, looking puzzledly at the man in black who was sitting in the corridor in front of her and drinking comfortably. This is the forbidden area of my Feng Shui Tower. Guests are not allowed to enter. How come he is here suddenly? There is no sense of the formation at all. The owner of Feng Shui Tower was a little confused. Shui Feng Yu. The man in black put down the wine pot, looked over, and said leisurely, "She was born in the Tianxua woman tribe and cultivated to become an eternal true god with her talent. Later, she was controlled by a mysterious force. Am I right?" Luo Feng looked at the owner of Fengshua Tower. The owner's face changed slightly, and she immediately bowed respectfully. "Greetings, Your Excellency. I wonder what Your Excellency has to say." She couldn't judge the strength of the person in front of her. "I have 10 registered disciples. Are you willing to be the 11th? Luo Feng was so excited that he asked directly. He had already planned that during this tour of the origin continent, he would accept some registered disciples as long as they were destined to do so. After hearing this, Fengshua Tower Master felt sad. If it happened a long time ago, she would be very happy if a powerful being took her in as a disciple. But now, "Your Majesty also knows that I am now helpless, so how can I become your disciple?" The owner of Fengshua Tower said. "I can't help myself." Luo Feng looked at her. In his own world, Luo Feng saw the mark on Fengshua Tower Master's forehead at a glance, and also saw that the true god heart in her body was infiltrated by many secret patterns which had completely controlled her, and she couldn't even commit suicide. "Disperse!" Luo Feng shouted softly. Around him, the world revolved around him, with him as the center, causing the mark and the secret pattern of his true body's heart to disappear. "Now you are independent." Luo Feng looked at her. The Snowy Tower Master couldn't believe it. She felt the power controlling her dissipate. She was extremely excited and immediately knelt down. "Disciple Shui Fengyu greets the Master." Luo Feng nodded with satisfaction. "Master, the power that controls me is unfathomable." The owner of Fengshua Tower reported it immediately. Luo Feng smiled and raised his head. "That force has arrived. In the high sky, there is a huge monster that crosses the void. It is bathed in thunder, and its might covers billions of kilometers. As soon as it appears, the surrounding vast area is completely sealed off, isolating the inside and the outside. Which god king dares to break my secret method and seize my subordinate?" The figure bathed in thunder looked towards Luo Feng. It turned out to be Luo He from Daohe sect. "Luo He, seeing how powerful my secret technique is, you still dare to attack me?" The owner of Fengshua Tower heard it. "Luo He? Luo God King is very famous in the surrounding territories. After all, when Daohe sect was established, many practitioners rushed there to join. I am Luo He." Luo Feng looked up at the other person, puzzled. "Who are you? You are so secretive and you dare not reveal your identity until now." "Who am I?" "You, divine king of the first level, not worthy of knowing." The majestic figure said, "I am taking my subordinate away. If you dare to stop me, don't blame me for flattening your Daohe sect." As he spoke, the towering figure stretched out a huge hand. This huge green palm, with countless thunders, was larger than an entire large city and directly covered it. This scene terrified countless practitioners in the city. There is always a group of people who are secretive in this origin continent. Luo Feng shook his head. It was fine to hide his identity in the treasure land, but he had to hide his identity when catching an eternal true god outside. The owner of Fengshua Tower was watching nervously from the side. Luo Feng waved his hand and said, "Go." The eternal light of chaos that was bred in the body was immediately released. This blade light was condensed to the extreme, and it swept across the huge palm in an instant. The huge palm was extremely tough, but it was cut off by the knife light, and golden blood dripped. "What? Impossible!" This towering figure was shocked and angry. His tough and strong body couldn't even withstand the flash of the knife. The knife flashed across his body again, splitting it in two. The knife light chased after the towering figure and attacked. In the blink of an eye, the towering figure was cut into dozens of pieces. Under the blade light, his seemingly strong body was simply unable to resist. "Luo He, have you reached the second level of Divine King?" The majestic figure couldn't believe that this terrifying suppressive power and the mystery of the sword's light surpassed the Lord Qiankun. He felt the difficulty of the knife's light, which seemed to cut through everything. and the energy can be continuously restored. With his level of skills, he was simply unable to avoid the blade. Stop, and I will give her to you. The towering figure is anxious. Luo Feng sat there and looked up. How come you are so weak at the second level of Divine King? Boom. Seeing that Luo Feng did not stop, the towering figure could only explode, turning into countless thunders running in all directions, but some of them were still strangled by the sword light in an instant, and the remaining thunders disappeared between heaven and earth. Call. The blade light flew back from a distance and returned to Luo Feng's palm. The owner of Fengshui Tower was trembling with fear as he watched from the side. His master's methods were indeed terrifying. It's pretty powerful. Luo Feng looked at the knife light, which had not been lost at all. With a thought, he put the knife light back into his inner world. Come with me to Huyang City. Do you have anything to prepare? Luo Feng looked at the owner of Fengshui Tower. Master, I need to bring the tribe with me. The owner of Fengshui Tower said. Good. Luo Feng's body split into a clone, who took the owner of Fengshui Tower and her tribe and sent them to Huyang City. Luo Feng's body continued his tour. Luo He, I heard that you have reached the second level of Divine King. The King of Yu State sent a message. You are well informed. Luo Feng laughed and he did not deny it. From the first level of God King to the ultimate level, there is no difference in the foundation of divine power and soul, the main difference is in the Tao. If the realm of the great Tao is not displayed, it is difficult for other practitioners to judge. Luo Feng can perform the secret method of the second level of the Divine King, and it is such a profound secret method, so the outside world naturally thinks that he has made a breakthrough. This video will end here.